What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Alpha Media podcast. This is episode number 6. Today, we'll be discussing what the future holds for social media and obviously where it's heading. Ben, obviously the first day of social media. What was your obviously first experience with it, and what did you think of it? Obviously at first.
Well, I don't know if it was the actual first day of social media when, like, my first experience of social media. I just remember the days of MySpace and being at school and then finishing school. And if it wasn't me being out playing football after school, I'd be basically racing home to get in front of, back then, like a big computer as well. It was like a big boxy computer to then go on and just all this brain power a computer has just to like type messages. It was like no pictures, no images or nothing. It was just text messaging like friends from school and stuff like that. And that was like my first experience of social media. And then after that was like the dawn of Facebook. So I can't remember exactly when that was, but that was probably a couple of years after that, I'd imagine. It was my early sort of experience of social media. Were you in Canada back then when it came about?
Of course I was. I was the Canadian. I was in Canada. So my first experience essentially with social media was with MSN Messenger, I think, actually. So my life, obviously, just to start with, was a little bit obviously different because you just described to people that after school you just went home, turned your computer on, and you were on social media. Mine, on the other hand, was slightly a little bit different, Benjamin. So, yeah, same thing. Obviously going to school, have loads of friends, and then obviously had some after-school curriculum activities. So obviously I used to play American football and stuff like that. So obviously done a bit of that, bit of exercising, as you do as a kid, you know. Then went home, and obviously everyone used to be on MSN Messenger. We used to play sort of online shooter games as well, like Counter-Strike or Battlefield, even Call of Duty when the first games sort of come out and stuff. So I used to play them online with all my friends. But yeah, my first sort of experience with social media and obviously contacting other people and stuff like that was with MSN Messenger. Then obviously was MySpace. I think might have actually ended up being at the same time, really, because obviously that was more of a social thing. So you posted your first picture, you know. Mine was, I will say this now because it's so many years after, it was a fake picture of a car. I never put my face on it because I hated my face when I was younger. Now I look a little bit different, which is great. But yeah, that was my first experience. So that was alongside MSN Messenger. After that, I think it was something like 2007, went over to Facebook, was it? So yeah, that's sort of my first experiences. But yeah. It's definitely different to what it was back in the day. I will say that.
Where was you when Facebook came about? Was you still in Canada, or was you over in the UK?
I sort of came here. So over in the UK, so obviously it started like 2007. So obviously I had a little bit of a experience with that up there, and obviously sort of moved here and fully sort of got connected on Facebook, if you know what I mean, and that was sort of the thing that everyone was sort of using and I was using as well. So yeah.
I mean, it's funny how like Facebook when it first came about, it was just like everyone was buzzing about it, weren't they? It was like a brilliant thing because it was like nothing else.
Yeah.
Really, it was before that. But now, like you can't now. I think it's like quite outdated now if you just look at it and everything to do with it.
Yeah, I will agree with you on that. Obviously, Facebook back in the day when it first came out was sort of like the most hyped up thing ever because it was a new thing. People used to post loads of stuff, you know, their holiday pictures or going or whatever. Everyone used to find themselves on there as well. So like friends from like, especially my side, high school and like, you know, higher school, sort of like, yeah, like college and stuff like that. I found them all. But yeah, it was really hyped up. People were using it. And obviously, I remember Facebook back in the day was quite limited as well to what they were obviously giving you as a platform. Now it's obviously a bit more advanced because you've got all the lives, you've got all the reels, and you've got loads of stuff you can possibly do, don't you?
It's crazy how it's the evolution, how it's all changed. I remember having like at school like a brick phone,
Yep.
like a Nokia brick phone.
What what phone did you
you?
used to have, Nokia? I used to have a 3310, really.
I can't remember the bloody models. I can't remember past last week really, but but I can't even remember the models.
Oh,
But
wow. I
I
must
just
have been off the
remember
hook last
having
week.
I just remember having a bright blue brick phone, which is probably like the size of my head, in this with the tiny screen on it, and all you could do on it was ring people and play Snake, and that was brilliant.
Classic. Yeah, one of those phones. And the thing is, with those phones back in the day, you used to, have the battery life of 8 days. Now you got an iPhone or an Android or whatever, and it's like, oh
Kind of
shit,
get through the
after 8
day.
hours, it's gone. You have to charge it again. Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. Absolutely mental.
You know, maybe they need to make them back into brick phones.
Yeah, but I think in this day and age, people are going to start using them as weapons and throw it at each other
Yeah, probably.
because
So,
they were much heavier.
so after sort of the Facebook era, like like that beginning bit we just spoke about, what was your like
Yeah.
experience after that? What is your story of social media from after that?
Twitter, because obviously Twitter became quite popular as well. Obviously, 250 characters, and that was sort of the hype thing as well. People used to just go mental on Twitter, tweet loads of stuff. That became quite popular. I quite got into it actually. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I had over like 500 people that were sort of like following me on there. It was quite mental, really. I was just posting stuff about football, video games, and stuff like that, and people were just loving it. It's just great. Now, at this stage in 2022, I no longer use Twitter because I don't choose to. And it's obviously, again, the hype of it just disappeared, really. Obviously, now it's more of a sort of Instagram, TikTok. But also, I'll add to that, Snapchat is one of those things that obviously I've used as well, sort of around 2014 to about 2016. It was a short period for me, really, to use like the social media, like, Snapchat. It was just literally, snapping people left, right, and center, and that was it. I haven't used it ever since, really, to be fair, because it's just, I in my in my eyes feel a bit too old for snapping people. This stuff. So yeah,
I
that was my
kind
sort of
of
little journey with social media.
I kind of miss the whole like Twitter phase out and the Twitter thing. It just didn't appeal to me. I think because like we just said a minute ago, I saw it as like a step back, just like putting because obviously when Facebook came out, you started getting images then and photos, and obviously not like
Yeah.
Instagram was or like is, but it's like
Mm.
photos and like Twitter. It's just like tweeting words and stuff like that. Like when it first came about, I
Yeah.
just like miss that whole. I just didn't appeal to me. And Snapchat, I kind of give it a go probably for like 6 months, probably not even that. Really couldn't bother with that either, so I kind of missed all them phases.
I was just going to say that obviously in terms of Snapchat was sort of something to do with like dating and stuff like that. You send a girl, like a 3 second little picture of yourself and be like, "What's up, girl?" Mainly used for that. I will admit to that. On this channel, I will say it. Obviously, Snapchat used to just be used to send like girls like pictures and stuff. Obviously, not like the ones that you guys are thinking about. It was just pictures of yourself for a couple of seconds so they can see, ooh, is he a nice guy or not?
Were you 12 back then?
Wow, that makes me so young right now, actually. Thank you very much, Benjamin. I appreciate that. Wow, this conversation's gone really badly really quickly, I think. Yeah.
So
From insulting people left, right, and centre on previous podcasts to second about I was 12.
so you've had your Snapchat phase, and when did you
Yeah.
join it? When did you get into Instagram and that?
I figure it was around sort of 2016, 2017. I think it was like the early stages of it as well. Again, it was something sort of like it was still in development, wasn't it? There wasn't a lot of things you could possibly do, post and stuff. It was quite simple, but it was fun on the other hand because it was a little bit different than Facebook, if you know what I mean. And again, something new. Everyone's sort of hyped up on it. So yeah, this was sort of constantly then on Instagram and sort of literally let go of Facebook and Twitter and obviously Snapchat. I was just purely on sort of Instagram, and to be fair, enjoying it ever since, really. Getting more and more followers, looking at different things, different stories, reels and things like that. It's just developed into this nice platform now, isn't it? Obviously. So, but yeah, what about you?
Yeah, I'm trying to think the exact year that I joined Instagram. I know it was quite late in the game now. I know it'd been about like probably 2 years or something. I joined really late. Can't remember
Hmm.
exactly what year I joined. Maybe late 15, 2015. So I don't know
Yeah.
what year it even came out in, but I know it had been out for a few years before I joined on it. Yeah. So when did you think it came out? Was you about to say?
I was actually going to quickly look at my phone and do a research on that, really, to be fair, just to find out. But I think it must have been sort of like end of 2015. I think it's got to be out for at least now. Or we're 2022, so it's what 7 years now. It must be out for 7 years.
No, I think it's been longer than that. It's maybe look on your phone. Research it now. It'd be interesting
Let
to
me have a
see
quick
when it
look. Obviously, this is the
was.
first time.
Research it now as to
Yeah,
carry on talking. But yeah,
I.
I remember joining. Yeah, joining that must have been in 2015 or 16, early 16, I think. And then kind of been active and been on there since. Not really done much of any other social medias until
Wow.
now in the last year with TikTok.
Completely going to explode, I think, because I've just literally researched when actually officially Instagram was released to the world. And 6th of October of 2010. So I've missed the era of obviously beginning of it for like 6
Yeah,
years nearly.
same. I think a lot of people like that though. A lot of people joined quite late
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah, it wasn't really that popular, and I was quite like, I wouldn't say it was basic, but it was really like, I wouldn't say difficult to navigate. It was something new, and obviously a lot of people, obviously either they decided to sort of like go with the flow and do it, or it was more like, oh, let's just wait and see, really, because it's something new. People were like a bit scared of joining it and doing it, you know what I mean? But
I thought it was just when I first joined stuff. It was just, I guess, like how Pinterest is really nowadays, and that where it's just like more photo rather than like not as engage.
mm.
Like it's more engaging, like than what I thought it was. If that makes sense.
Yeah, like in terms of like the social media stuff, in terms of for like my personal side of things, I've never used like Pinterest on a personal side, to be fair. Like I've never done it. It never sort of appealed to me. Obviously, from the business side of things, it's slightly a little bit different, obviously. We use it for the business. But yeah, in terms of the personal side, never sort of like even thought about using Pinterest because it never sort of appealed to me, really. Like if I wanted a picture research, really, I'd just go on google.com and obviously get the same thing, which in my eyes was a little bit sort of easier. But yeah, Pinterest, for example, as a social platform, never sort of appealed to me on a personal level.
What are your thoughts on like social media in general? Do you think it's a good thing? It's a bad thing?
Um, it's a really hard one, really, because you can use it for a lot of good things, and create like engagement with other people. Like other people can actually see what's happening around the world, for example, and can help a lot of causes, right? but then on the other hand, it can create a lot of damage, really, as well. Like a lot of people now, if, for example, as an example, if the service is bad for a particular establishment, they will obviously use social media to nearly destroy that business online, isn't it? We've seen it plenty of times. I've seen it a lot of times. Obviously, social media can be quite destroying, really. Um, Same goes for obviously for young people and the whole sort of image. Obviously, people need to maintain their image online as well. If it goes from everything, how they look, how they present themselves, what they do, everything is sort of like kind of measured, if you know what I mean, on a social media sort of platform. And again, it could have a good impact on people, because there's a lot of people that are scared to show their truth, like sort of face kind of thing, if you know what I mean. But a lot of people sort of use that to actually show their truth side and stuff. But some people will just sort of cover it and so show the fake side of things, if you know what I mean, which is again unhealthy, I think, in this day and age, really. But this is the sort of the world that we live in now. It's quite hard to sort of tell people that actually, what you're currently doing is wrong, because people will just find their own sort of answers for it and they'll do whatever they want. They're all free. But yeah, I think it's got sort of two different sides. There's a positive and there's a negative. But what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, same really. It's that. Well, I guess it's the same with everything, isn't it? In life, there's a good and a bad side to everything. I think social media is no different.
Yeah,
It's that. It's just crazy things that I notice now more than ever nowadays, especially like it's ramped up in the last couple of years. Is that like gyms and stuff? Like these people who like train in gyms and stuff that you'd never seen ever in the past, probably training in a gym before. But everyone's so
yeah,
image conscious of how they are, and everyone's got an opinion on everything. And like people are purchasing
yeah,
like materialistic things they probably can't afford, so they're getting it on finance and stuff like that. And it's to try and keep up with an image that's a lot of times is fake, and no wonder there's so much mental health and depression that's stemmed from it now, and all these things. And people have got more
yeah.
insecurities nowadays than ever before. It's like it's weird, isn't it? You
No, I totally agree with you on that.
try and explain to the generation before, or like our parents and whatever, like what we actually have to deal with now as the current generation adults, to what they never had any of this. Simple, to put it simply, it's like the world's changing, the game's changed, and
Yeah,
yeah, it's. But then there's like a lovely good side to it, like the fact of the community and seeing people. Like it sounds weird, but I like it how like through my life I've still got people on my social medias that follow me or I follow them, and you kind of keep tracks how they're getting on. Like they're now getting married, having kids, whatever. You kind of just see that transition in their lives as they see yours. So I think that's cool and stuff like that. So there's like I
yeah,
said, there's good and there's like good positive side to it, and obviously a negatives as well. But I think
yeah,
people have got to learn, and this is the biggest thing I've learned, is how to manage yourself and your mindset and manage yourself with social media. Like in the last 2 years, I've completely changed. I used to be like on my phone constantly, like didn't want to fall behind on like Instagram posts or thinking. I was constantly all day, every day, just on my phone all the time. And now in the last 2 years, it's like probably 10 minutes in the morning, I allow myself just to have a quick look, and then it's like just before bed at night, I have another like half an hour or whatever on it before you asleep. That's it. Like
yeah,
my whole daytime, I don't even look at it unless I'm quickly on there to post something for the business and the business stuff. And that's it.
yeah.
And now, quick break for adverts.
Right, what's going on, guys? Dave here from Alpha Media Team. If you are thinking about starting a podcast, but you do not know where to begin or where to start, why not try and give Riverside FM a go? It's a great new tool for the fraction of the price that allows you to create great podcasts with editing capabilities of very expensive programs. So why not click the link in the bio and start your journey on becoming and having the best podcast on the internet?
Opportunity to talk about what we're about here at Alpha Media. We inspire others to start an online business, give them the blueprints, show them the way to start making their first commission online, escape the 9 to 5. We should have a link listed somewhere, either around or beneath this video in the description. If you click on that link, you'll go through to a web page. On that web page there'll be a video with myself or Dave talking through what those sort of next steps look like and through that process. Apart from that, thank you for taking the time to watch our content and enjoy the rest of the podcast.
So yeah, in terms of obviously the social media side of things, and obviously the usage, kind of similar to you. It's gone. I don't use it anymore. I don't use it as much as I used to, if you know what I mean. So obviously, when the hype was there, people were constantly on it all day. Yeah, you're at work, whatever, you're constantly on it. I sort of tend to, obviously, on a personal side, obviously, sort of minimize that a little bit. If I want to post, I post a few bits. Again, for the business, it's totally different. Obviously, if we got to post something for the business, do something, then obviously we spend a little bit more time, obviously, creatively, and obviously get something sort of going, if you know what I mean. But yeah, essentially, try to cut down of social media, because again, the social media's got this positive and negative impact on an individual, isn't it? For obviously what it is, for what it gives and stuff like that. And obviously, you know, it's all about with the mindset. You want to have a sort of a clear head. Don't be sort of like taken with what other people are showing on social media and try to copy it, make it better, or feel bad that obviously you're not there where others are, if you know what I mean, kind of thing. So it's also obviously there is an aspect of that as well, if you know what I mean.
In your opinion, where do you think social media is heading?
It's, to be fair, like the aspect of social media and where it's heading, I think it's going to be even more massive, bigger. Obviously, what we see, what has sort of started happening. Obviously, the whole metaverse situation and where it's heading, with, you know, the sort of the virtual life, as you should sort of call it. You know, it's you know, you'll be able to live in a virtual world somewhere. And I've seen some videos last couple of days, actually, because I've done a bit of research into this. There is some guy apparently in America who apparently sort of lives in the metaverse for like a whole time, 24/7 essentially, and he just wakes up with the goggles on, goes to work, drives like to work and back, like, and just like watches films as well online, kind of in a virtual sort of life. And I was just like, wow. Like, it is, like, different, I suppose, and I was going to say exciting a little bit because you can see how different it is, but it's scary on the other hand how, like, so soon people sort of took a turn to metaverse, if you know what I mean. Like, it is crazy. Like, people, like, is this whole, like, sort of, it's hyped up that people are like, oh my god, let's see what it's all about, and literally, like, already got into it, and like some people in this world are already like living in it and having families or something crazy like that, which is like, it's just mental. Like, it's just crazy. But I think social media is just going to get bigger and bigger on the aspect of, you know, the NFTs, the metaverse. Like I said, it's going to go crazy to another sort of level. It's just going to go. Yeah, it's going to blow up to a whole new level. To be fair, yeah. What about you? What do you think?
I don't know, like, you could go on like really quite on for a bit with this topic, because I think it is going to just get more and more advanced and bigger. It's obviously clear to see, like, the metaverse is basically heading in the direction of like that film Ready Player One, or like The Matrix and stuff, and both of them films. And like, don't offend anyone with this who watches this, but like, humans are naturally like stay to their comfort zone and are quite lazy and not do like clear up nowadays or do stuff, and in both of them films, the actual real world was an abomination. Basically, it was a mess. But then everyone spent all their time in the metaverse, and if you watch people today, they're always on their phones and scrolling through social media. So, like, you just know, and there's people like mad on gaming and stuff now, like more than ever. You just know that people are going to get sucked in like quite quickly, and it's like I think there's a lot of positives with it. Like, I think it's brilliant, like going in there having virtual meetings and stuff that's happening now for businesses and stuff like that. That's brilliant, and probably like virtual interviews, and obviously taking gaming to a whole new level and making it more realistic and stuff like that. I think that's all amazing stuff, but it's like,
Yeah.
where's the line? Like, from what I've read in my research, is that there's no rules in the metaverse, there's no policing in there, and this is a whole different topic, but like, we know that the world's not all sunshine and
Yeah.
rainbows and stuff, and that there's some dark stuff that happens, and there's rules in the real world and laws around these things, but in the metaverse there isn't these laws, and they've already on their tested trials had someone do some naughty, like people do naughty stuff in that. Like, without getting into too much detail, I don't want to go into too much detail about it, but what I've heard and seen and read and stuff, it's like how are they going to police this world go forward, or what they're going to do? Like, it's crazy. But then at the same time, I do think that social media and people with a device in their hand scrolling on the phone is already outdated. Like, I know they've already tried in having like glasses that sit on your face and you can see everything through glasses and stuff like that, and trialing no end of stuff. I'm
Yeah.
not just talking about like the actual virtual goggles that people are wearing to go in the metaverse, but actual, like, you're wearing shade sunglasses and seeing stuff coming up and stuff like that. And obviously, there's talk about having AI within the human body and attached to us somehow and stuff like. It's inevitable, isn't it? Like, it's crazy to have all these conversations, because these things in
Yeah.
films, one by one, seem to be coming into our existence and reality, which is just crazy. But it's inevitable. I think if I've had this conversation many times, if it weren't for money and money ruling the world, and you took money out of it, we'd already be, as a civilization, with everything more advanced than we are now. Because the science and the brain power, everything's all there.
Yeah.
Everything's already there. Like, we'd be more. It's money that holds us back. Like, we could have better cars and fucking like hovercrafts and everything, but because oil and petrol and fuel fetches that much money, whether it's from a stock shares point of view, selling it, every aspect, so much money, they're not going to let go of that, are they? It's just crazy.
Definitely not. No.
I know I've gone on a bit of a tangent, but I think it's all like really linked.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Just going back to what you obviously said in terms of obviously people are constantly on their phones. Yes, that is, I will say, that is true. Like, you've seen it everywhere. You see it on sort of social occasions, social gatherings and stuff like that. There isn't this whole sense of like people talking to each other, isn't it? Like, and that happened to me a couple of times. Went on a date with someone, and they start scrolling their phone. Obviously, not that I'm boring and stuff, but they just had to check something on their Instagram or post their meal that they were having and stuff. So yeah, there's that whole aspect of actually where is there a line in terms of obviously using social media. You know, we
So
back in the
weird.
day, going back to what we started saying, like, so our parents obviously never used to have social media, didn't they? So people used to talk, people used to obviously have conversations, people used to have a bit of a, you know, different life. Now it's all different. It's all sort of exactly just phones, left, right, and center, post on social media. Oh, this is what I'm having for meal. To be fair, we're doing it as well. So when we go to the gym, we'll post something, and stuff like that. But you can see how the evolution has gone in terms of the social media. And again, with everything that you also said in terms of like the metaverse and actually not having the control over it. So like the whole policing thing and stuff is not currently there. Don't you think? And this is what my sort of thoughts are on this. People will then try to use whatever they've done in metaverse and virtually in real life, because obviously they got away with it in virtual life kind of thing, if you know what I mean. So let's say if things go really bad in the virtual and they've done something horrible, don't you think they'll say, well, actually, I've done it there. No one caught me. And some people will think, I'll do it in real life because no one will probably catch me or stuff like that. Well, obviously, the reality is totally different as well, It's quite scary to what people could be capable of doing.
Well, this is the thing. Obviously, it's more like cartoon avatars at the minute, but it will get more and more realistic. And how do you distinguish in time the real world from the not so real world?
What's real?
And we already have mental
Yep.
health problems, and they say that once you're, it's like, what is it? I had this conversation with someone when I forgot what that condition's called, but do you know when you lose your sense of balance, or like you get that
Vertigo?
yeah, that's it, vertigo, that thing where your brain can't find its sense of balance, confused and stuff like that. Your brain will just get so confused between the real and not so real world. It won't know. You'll think you're in one world and not the other. Like there's been plenty of films on this and everything anyway, but it's like, how do you know? Like people obviously, like you say, on social medias portray a fake lifestyle. So when they first all go in the metaverse, they're gonna, and it gets more real and stuff, they're gonna have avatars that look nothing like they do in the real world because of insecurities and stuff like that. They're not gonna.
Yep.
If you're not happy with the way you look in the real world, of course you're gonna make yourself how you want to look, ain't you? In the metaverse and in the not so real world, like bigger, stronger, whatever.
Yeah.
And then over time, is it like not going to be able to do that, or you're not thinking you have to be look exactly as you do in there as you do as here? And how are you going to tell the difference between? But then, like, that is coming across quite negative, all the things. But I know, like, there's some positives. There's always been talk for years and years. Will we ever crack like teleportation, like teleport as a means of transport? Well, through the metaverse, that can happen. In a fake world, it can happen because you're just saying your mind or however they're going to do it, and you're going to be able to see places in the world that you've probably never seen before, or poorer people who never ever have the chance of seeing a certain thing like the pyramids or whatever, like a iconic landmark, whatever, or place. They know they're never going to afford it or they're never going to see it.
Yeah.
In that world, they'll be able to just go and see it exactly how it is in the real world, like for like, and just teleport there, see it there. Like the sky's the limit, isn't it? What are your thoughts from like a business aspect with the metaverse? How do you think businesses are already responding, and in the future respond?
Yeah, to look at what has obviously happened, I think, and then again, I've done a bit of research on that, and what I've read was apparently the designer for Nike had sort of opened like a massive virtual store with his designs online. So you can already see like a company like Nike, for example, obviously going into the metaverse and obviously creating something there. I've heard also Disney's obviously quite big with obviously what they've got going on in terms of the metaverse. So I think the general sort of response of every single business is going to be again an opportunity. because obviously the hype is going to be in metaverse, and a lot of people will start looking into it, start, either buying NFTs or whatever, or actually buying the virtual items, because again, it's going to be something new, like everything else was, like Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, or whatever. And there's going to be this massive hype. And I think this is the opportunity now for all the businesses, obviously, to go ahead and obviously sort of join that and actually do something. I want to say something good, but obviously they're going to create loads of things that obviously people are, going to be able to either purchase, do, or whatever. Yeah. So in terms of the business side of things, it's a massive opportunity for every single business, your online business, whatever. Yeah, you can do that. And I think from the educational side of things as well, like schools and things like that, they're obviously going to maybe create like virtual, like, classrooms and stuff like that, where people obviously can, like the meetings, do that as well. So I think from that aspect as well, it's going to be massive, isn't it? The world is yours.
Yeah, I think like all I can see for businesses is nothing but positive stuff, strength to strength. I can't really see no negative with that side of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the typical physical businesses, like you said, Disney stuff that are in this world, doing what you'd imagine they would do in that world is doing it bigger and better, and could probably take up a lot more space, and it'd be more
Yeah.
crazy and out there. And roller coaster rides, everything just going to be like crazy. But I think like a real positive
Yeah.
is
Mental.
for people that are just online businesses only in this world, like e-commerce, whatever. They're going to be able to be physical in that world, like have a physical.
Yeah.
Well, they would be able to, wouldn't they? Be able to have a physical shop and everything in that world, or however they want to. I guess what's the word? Sort of present themselves, don't they, and showcase themselves as a brand.
Yeah. Well, maybe this is just my thought on this. Don't you think that maybe obviously they can present everything virtually, and then obviously just sort of take them to the physical product somewhere? Let's say obviously the whole presentation is virtual, very nice, but you can purchase this in real life, kind of thing. Maybe they're going to transition for that. You never know, because some people, like, if they're selling whatever the items, you want to sort of feel it, you want to see it, kind of thing. Obviously, it's all good and well. Obviously, have it on the metaverse and have it on online, but if you can't really feel it, you can't really touch it. It's not really physical, is it? So I think there might be an aspect of that. Sort of brands obviously going for the metaverse. You see this sort of presentation about a product or whatever, and then obviously you can purchase it by following, this or that. So yeah, it could be potentially something that will happen, isn't it?
Yeah, you'll go around like let's say it's Amazon, obviously the biggest, or one of the biggest retailers out there. Or businesses out there. You go in there and let's say you want to buy a product like a tool or whatever, and you want to trial it out, you'll be able to like trial it and everything before you like think, oh, I'm going to purchase this, and then it'll get
Right.
delivered in the real world, probably to your address, and you trial it and purchase it. Whether
Yeah.
they do that in the form of you physically walk around with a trolley in an Amazon store in that world, and or how they do it, and then it credits your card as you pop it in your trolley basket, or however they do it. Like, there's so many ideas, isn't there? There's so much they could do. Like people, the crazy thing is, these ideas might not have been thought of. Yeah, people might see this and then take the ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, they might just listen to this fantastic podcast that we've got going on, 6 episodes to be exact, and they say, "Oh, these guys are talking a load of like good stuff. Let's just steal all their ideas now."
Yeah, I do have to say, like some of these things I mentioned are not even my ideas. It's just like conversations I've had with like my parents and my dad, and ideas he's come up with because he's really intrigued by it all
Yeah.
and reads a lot of articles and reads on it. So I will credit him. I'm not going to say they're all my ideas for stuff I've mentioned.
I like that. to be fair, like even let's just sort of spin it around. Obviously, this is what sort of a little bit we can obviously discuss. Don't you think like obviously it's harder for sort of like our parents to obviously to sort of evolve with how social media and everything is sort of going, isn't it? Because it's a bit hard. Like obviously what we said at the beginning, they've never had this to what we've got now, and obviously us as new sort of people in 2022 try to explain everything to them. They're just sort of like, especially mine, you had to sort of spend a little bit of time to explain everything. It's like different worlds for them, isn't it? Like there's a whole like sort of another level of like different to what they are used to, if you know what I mean. That's just it's crazy.
Well, I'd say, like, in my experience with my parents, is that like everyone would be an individual, but like my dad's always been into tech and computers and stuff and gadgets, and I feel like he's like quite up to speed with a lot of things. But there are certain things like social media. He's just like, I don't get that, or I don't, or don't know how to do that, and I'm just like, I'll do it. I'll help you or whatever. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
as people get older, they just become more disconnected from it, aren't they? So it comes back to what I said in a previous podcast. It's like I've got like a child, so and it's like I don't even know how to best advise her from any aspect of her life or what the future holds and what's coming, because even it's evolving that quick. It's like, what can you say to them? They're gonna have to just find their own feet and experience it. You could try and help them to a certain extent, but
Yeah.
it's like, how are they gonna take on this metaverse now? Because that's the generation that's gonna have it the most, isn't it? I could put like that old man filter on now, so just see what I will look like when she's trying to explain it to me.
Let's not do that in this podcast. We'll have a few other ones later. It's absolutely fine.
So, what are your thoughts on like living in the metaverse? Because you're not really said your point of view on that.
Oh, it's going to be it's going to be interesting and exciting. Like I think, because again, going back to the new thing, because it's going to be a new thing, it's going to be quite exciting to what obviously the capabilities of the whole thing is. And obviously interesting how it develops. What is the sort of what I want to know is how far can you push it in terms of like the metaverse, the virtual sort of life? How far can you push it? To what point? Obviously, this is the maximum. This is where we're at, and that's it. No more, kind of thing. And yeah, my sort of opinion on this. If we push it a bit too hard, might get a bit scary. Or it might be, a fantastic new idea. Like living in the metaverse, I would probably not want to spend my whole 24/7 in the metaverse. Like, obviously, that guy that I said at the beginning of the podcast, who literally just lives and breathes metaverse. No, maybe that's something that you sort of want to visit in your day. I still want to sort of like be part of the reality and what obviously is currently happening, out there, kind of thing, like feel stuff, see stuff, go for a walk and stuff, just experience, things. I just want to visit it, I think, at this stage, you know what I mean? But obviously, it will probably get to that point when it's going to be all metaverse, like whatever you're going to do and stuff like that. Like it's all going to be in the metaverse, and that at that time, then obviously you'll probably have to just sort of transfer and live it and breathe it, kind of thing. But I'll try to take it in small portions as possible, I think. How about yourself?
Well, I'll just say, like, before I say about myself, that I just want to like throw a bit of a scenario at you, really, because it's I think it's the thing that will differentiate how long you stay in there or how sucked in you get, just like how social media is now. Is that, imagine you're got no insecurities in there, like it looks just as real as the real world. Like, let's say, like the Matrix, whatever. You're like a somebody or like a real
Yeah.
somebody in that world. You've got every car you've ever wanted, you've got the house you ever wanted, you've got all the clothes you've ever wanted. There's even like someone you're attracted to, female you're attracted to, you've not even seen on that level in the real world, in that world that you've sort of. What I'm trying to get at is when there's more positives for you in that world than there is in this world, how are you going to how are you going to decide with that? Because it sounds silly, but this is already not on that extreme, that level, but this is already happening with social media. People are choosing to be or attach themselves to more of a fake avatar, more of a fake being online, because it's easier or whatever, or they prefer it, or they love that version of themselves to what they are in the real world. Do you know what I mean? Like what I would say, my approach is, and even now with everything that we're doing with business, I try to always have been the most real of myself, like the most real version of myself through my social media. I try to be open. Like even people have made comments that come across like I wear my heart on my sleeve. I try to be what you see in my social world is exactly how I feel I am in my real world, sort of thing. But I know there's a lot of people that aren't like that. They're the other end of the spectrum. So I was just kind of curious on your thoughts of that scenario.
It is quite appealing because obviously it just feels like, wow, in a virtual world with this massive sort of like cool guy and it's just all there for you. But actually at the end of the day, you're just in a virtual. I prefer to achieve that in real life. Like that, because I think that obviously goes for the comfortable side as well, because it was so easy to sort of like make that happen in the virtual world. Then you can just step in and just be this massive like, oh yeah, superstar on virtual world, but actually in a real life you complete loser, and that's not the point of going with this, if you know what I mean, because you want to sort of achieve in the real life, and that's sort of how I want to do. I want to make myself better in real life, create something, obviously be real to it. I hate this, like what you described. Obviously a lot of people, and obviously I'm not trying to sound sexist here, but a lot of you girls out there are the ones who obviously put on the fake, and I'll say that with everything, and it's scary. But yeah, I just wanted to stay as real as possible, really, to things, and create like the best version of myself in this like world now. There will come a time and place when obviously you will have to sort of like I said before, step onto this virtual. But I sort of want to stay as real as possible and as good as possible in this sort of real current now, and sort of want to carry that going. Right, okay, guys. So it comes to time, obviously, when we're going to have to finish our podcast and end it. I do appreciate everyone who's obviously watching us and listening to us, both on YouTube and Spotify, so I appreciate all that. Obviously, all the links for things that we currently obviously doing and promoting will be in the description, so check us out. So yeah, for me, a massive thank you, guys, once again, and obviously we shall see you next week. Over to you, Ben.
Yeah, just thank you all for listening and watching our podcast. Today was just like our opinions on social media, sort of our experience through our time or lifetime really of social media, where we believe it's going. It was just an interesting topic that we wanted to cover off, so I hope you've enjoyed it. And yeah, all the best, and we'll see you soon, and hopefully see you on you'll come see us on the next podcast.
Take care, guys. See you later.
Bye.